Dibrig tú go díon nó chánig tú go dtí an chathair seo, fuair his neart taithí agus d'urbar de chud scileanna. I ngacháte éigean tú, fecinn tú rud éige na chabhraigh tú a thógáil, ach inis tá tú ag féchant ar an todhchaí, agus beidir go bhfuil tú ag smaoinemh ar an áit as a dagan tú. In éireann, tastaíonn pleanálathe, siúnéirí, ploméirí, díanadóirí, inaltóirí, altíirí, banistóirí láithreáin agus níos móhain. Tastaíonn túhain, le do chud scileanna agus taithí go léir, chun cabhrúlinn na mílte tithe a thógáil. Tá an domhan tóga agat, a níos tar arás agus tógan teach a thóg tú. Tuile eolais ag gov.ie/Building Ireland. Teachtareacht ó rialtas na hÉireann.
This episode is brought to you by Paranormal Playback, a new podcast where hosts Shar, Mel and Laura recap the spooky and entertaining world of paranormal reality TV. Each week they take a fresh look at popular shows like Ghost Adventures and Kindred Spirits, blending humour with insight as they pull apart what's happening on screen. The three of them are a mix of believers and skeptics, which makes for really fun conversations, sometimes leaning into mystery, other times asking the questions viewers might be thinking themselves. With their background in creative production, they know how these shows are put together, so they're great at pointing out the moments that feel real versus the ones that might be more for the cameras. And their segment, This Old Haunt, digs into the true crime side of paranormal investigations, separating fact from fiction. With Halloween coming up, it's the perfect time to add something spooky, funny and a little addictive to your playlist. For even more spooky, ghostly, paranormal content with a humorous spin, go check out Paranormal Playback. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Scary. Before we get into our main episode, as always, we need to say a special thank you to our new Patreon subscribers who are Ben Brown, Emma Hollis, Lynette Smith, Katie Peterson and LH. Thank you so much for signing up to the show's Patreon, and if this is something you're interested in, you can find the link in this episode's show notes, or you can simply go to patreon.com/scaryaparanormalpodcast, where you can gain access to ad-free main episodes and exclusive Patreon-only scary episodes. But now, let's get into our next paranormal encounter. UK, 2022. Our paranormal experience happened at a strange in-between patch in our lives. My partner, now wife, and I were in the middle of building our own house. The groundwork was done, we had the timber frames up, but it was going to be a good few months before we could move into our home. We were pretty tight money-wise at that time, and my parents very kindly offered us something that we couldn't refuse. My parents had a small apartment above an old shop that they owned, and they were offering it to us rent-free. It had been empty for over a year. It used to be let out to students, and unfortunately the last students that were in there pretty much destroyed half of the flat, and my parents were pretty nervous about who was going to go into the flat next, so they had let it go empty for a while. The building had originally been a butcher's back in the day. The butcher and his family lived upstairs. That's all we really know about it. It had been modernised, of course, but it was very basic, clean. Funnily enough, I hadn't really been in it that much beforehand. I remember when they first bought it, I was a teenager, and I'd say before we had our stay in it, I'd been in it maybe 2 times just collecting stuff with Dad or giving him a hand with something. The place had a kitchen, living area, a hall, 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. So we move in and it was fine. We have a daughter and she settled in pretty quickly. She was 3 at the time. She did have her own room, but most of the time she was in with us. We set up her room as best we could. We had all her toys and her lamp and made it look like her old bedroom the best we could. In total, we stayed in this flat for 6 months, just under 6 months. And what we experienced happened over approximately 2 weeks in total. After the 4th month of staying in the apartment, we were getting excited about the prospect of being able to move into our home pretty soon. We definitely were, had that excited energy all the time. One evening, I had just gone to bed and I was scrolling on my phone. And after a few minutes, I set it down thinking, okay, it's time for me to go to bed. Before I even began to get comfortable in the bed to fall asleep, I heard these light footsteps run across the hallway floor. It was so clear that I sat up in the bed and the first thought I had was that it was our daughter. So I got up quietly thinking that I could catch her in the act. She's quite mischievous. So I was gonna play her at her own game. So I got out of bed really quietly, tiptoed across the floor. Our bedroom door was never fully closed. So in my head, I had decided that when I got to the door, I was going to open it quickly and, frighten her. So I pulled the door back, said, "Boo!" And the hallway was completely empty. There was no quick footsteps back into her bedroom. There was no noise whatsoever. So I went straight down to her bedroom and looked in, and she was fast asleep, flat on her back, arms sprawled out. There was no way that she had just been up. She usually sleeps like a stone most nights, and if she does wake, she'll call out for one of us, and we'll usually end up meeting her halfway. I think I just told myself that it must have been the neighbour. The building is old, and of course sound will carry throughout it. Maybe something shifted in the walls, or maybe a car passed outside and rattled the floorboards just right. One of those things that you explain away so you can sleep. 2 nights later, it happens again. Around the same time, the same quick little footsteps, like a child running barefoot across a floor. This time my partner heard it too, and she turned to me and whispered, "Is that her?" So we check again. Same thing. Our daughter is sound asleep, door is still ajar, everything just still. So we stand in the hallway waiting and listening to see if we can identify what this sound is or where it's coming from. And maybe it was the whole thing playing on our minds, but the hallway definitely felt colder than normal. I want to say it felt like you were walking through a hallway where somebody had left the front door open for a few moments to the outside, and all this cold air had rushed in but they had closed it and then you happened to walk through. It felt like that. So we just stand there for a few minutes, and my partner gave a bit of a nervous laugh and said, must have been the pipes or floorboards or something, or maybe there's a rat or something. So in my head I'm adding to the list and I'm getting a rat trap first thing in the morning, and that will solve everything. So I get the trap, and the following night I set the trap. Even though I know it sounded like a child running in the hallway, you kind of file these things under not that important stuff. We're building a house, we're working, we're tired, we've got a toddler. Strange noises aren't going to be at the top of the list. So that night our daughter goes to bed. It was about 9:30. It had been a particularly chaotic evening. She refused to have dinner. There was a toilet accident. That sort of thing. So when she did finally nod off, it kind of felt like a small miracle. So the two of us are curled up on the couch watching something on Netflix. We have a lamp on in the corner of the room. We're both kind of looking at our phones and looking at the TV, kind of up and down. So like I said, we just have a lamp on in the room, and the TV is flickering. It's lighting up parts of the room that are dark, then they're going dark again, this sort of thing. Out of the corner of our eye, and this is what made me look anyway, we both turned at the same time and looked at the doorway. And for the briefest moment, and for me, I mean a fraction of a second, I saw this small boy. This boy was about the same height as our daughter. He was pretty low to the ground, and he was more than halfway peeking around the corner of the door. I saw his full face. It was quite pale, very whitish, and I honestly think that that's what caught my eye, because the hall light was off and you wouldn't see a shadow out there. I only saw the upper half of him, and from what I saw, he was wearing a jumper that was quite dark. The two of us got such a big fright. We were like, what the hell? And I shouted out into the hall saying hello, thinking that had we left our front door open and somebody had come in. It was so weird. So we get up and go straight to the hallway, turn on the light, nobody down there, but then our daughter's door to her bedroom is open like it always is. So we're like, oh my god, there's somebody in her room. So my partner goes straight down to her bedroom. I go to the front door to make sure that it's closed. I get there, it's completely closed. No one can get in. So I go straight into my daughter's bedroom. At this point, my partner was after turning on the light. She was after waking up our daughter. She was crying. She could see that we were kind of panicking. And we're looking all around her bedroom to try and see where this boy is. Is somebody in the apartment with us? So we check the wardrobes, we're checking behind curtains, we're in our bedroom checking there, back up to the living room checking there, looking in the kitchen, bathroom. Nothing. So by now we're all awake. Everybody's awake. Our daughter, we're just about calming down. So we're all in the living room, sitting with the TV on, not really wanting to watch anything. Me and my partner looking at each other, thinking, what the hell did we just witness? Then we hear a noise out in the hall again. I go out. The rat trap was after going off itself. No rat. So about 2 nights pass, and there was definitely a bit of a shift, I suppose, in the apartment. Sophie was now waking up in the middle of the night, not crying, not distressed, just wide awake. And like I said, she'd usually call for one of us whenever she did wake in the nighttime. So we start finding her sitting up in the bed, talking to herself, wide awake. Just pretty content, talking away. She'd have her toys lined up beside her, just playing like she would in the middle of the day. So we'd have to go in and, remind her it's the middle of the night, need to go to sleep, put her toys away, and stay with her until she went back asleep. Or sometimes we brought her into our own room and just got her to go to sleep there. She then began to get quite inquisitive in the nighttime, asking us questions, wanting to know what our new house would be like, wanting to know if she'd have her bedroom, all this stuff that she hadn't really been asking about before, but I know kids do pick up on these things. Then she starts asking, can the boy come with us too? So we start asking, what boy? And then she'd shut down and start talking about her toys or something on the TV. And just to note that we didn't tell her that we saw a boy in the doorway, of course. We're not going to freak out our child. And we definitely didn't speak about it when she was in the room. We talk about it in the nighttime, or definitely talk about it away from her. So I pressed her about this boy and I said, what boy are you talking about? And she'd say, the boy here. And then again change the subject and start talking about one of her toys, and you'd constantly have to keep redirecting her back to what I was asking her to talk about this boy that she was bringing up. Eventually she gets frustrated with me and says, the boy that lives in my room. So that was really unsettling. So I ask, is this boy a nice boy or is he a bad boy? And she's like, no, he's nice. That night I end up having a dream that featured this boy. And in the dream I was standing in the hallway. My daughter was there at the far end of the hallway in her pyjamas, and she was holding one of her teddies. She was just standing there not moving, and I tried to call out to her, but she doesn't answer, or she can't hear me. And then this boy appears beside her, the same boy that we saw. And then I just remember waking up gasping and sweating in bed. And I know that was just a dream, but what we witnessed and heard was definitely not a dream. So the days go on, and all our daughter wants to talk about is this boy, and can he come to our new house, and when are we going to the new house? It was non-stop. Most of the day was talking about this boy, where is he going to sleep? Can I show him here? Will we be able to play in the garden? How will he get there? Relentless. Me and my partner are completely freaked out at this point. She's talking about this little boy like as if he is a living boy. Nearly like this little boy is now part of the family. We're now coming up to the last month of staying in this apartment before we get into our new place. And of course, me and my partner have had multiple conversations about what we think is going on, and the two of us are convinced that we saw a spirit or something. We had got holy water and put crosses on ourselves before we went to bed. We had got sage and burnt it in the house. And we both decided that every time our daughter was going to ask about this little boy, she'd always end up asking, can he come to our new home and stuff. We were both going to consistently say, no, he can't, he has to stay here. No, he can't, he has to stay here. And we did that. We kept on saying that. Even if she was crying or upset that we were saying no, we just completely were like, no, he has to stay here. And eventually she stopped asking us. Maybe she was just distracted, because at that time my parents were coming and taking her for a little bit while we went to the new house and made sure that everything was going smoothly. It was getting close now to the time for us to be moving in. We had some things in storage, so we were checking on that, making sure we were sorted and organised. And then from then on, things just kind of faded. She didn't talk about him again. We didn't hear any noises in the hall. I never caught a rat or a rodent in the apartment. So in the end, we moved to our new home. We looked a little bit into the history of the building that we're in, and like that, it was a butcher's, but there was no tragedy from what we could find. It honestly just felt like this spirit had drifted in and drifted out of our lives for a really short period. Thank you to Richard and Sally for sending in their paranormal experience. And don't forget, if you have your own paranormal experience that you'd like me to narrate on the show, you can send it to scaryaparanormalpodcast@gmail.com, and it just might get made into a future episode. And thank you so much for everybody who has sent in their paranormal experience. Don't forget to hit that follow button so you don't miss any future episodes. Thank you for listening, and join me next time for another episode of Scary.
Dibrig tú go díon nó chánig tú go dtí an chathair seo, fuair his neart taithí agus d'urbair de chud scileanna. I ngacháte éigean tú, fecinn tú rud éige na chabhraigh tú a thógáil, ach inis tá tú ag féchant ar an todhchaí, agus beidir go bhfuil tú ag smaoinemh ar an áit as a dagan tú. In éireann, tastaíonn pleanálathe, siúnéirí, ploméirí, díanadóirí, inaltóirí, altíirí, banistóirí láithreáin agus níos móhain. Tastaíonn túhain, le do chud scileanna agus taithí go léir, chun cabhrúlinn na mílte tithe a thógáil. Tá an domhan tóga agat, a níos tar a rás agus tógan teach a thóg tú. Tuile eolais ag gov.ie/Building Ireland. Teachtareacht ó rialtas na hÉireann.
Hey Fidelity, how can I remember to invest every month?
With the Fidelity app, you can choose a schedule and set up recurring investments in stocks and ETFs.
Oh, that sounds easier than I thought.
You got this.
Yeah, I do. Now, where did I put my keys?
You will find them where you left them.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
I'm Dr. Sarah Ray Hall, the founder and CEO of Armra. I developed Armra Colostrum because I know your body was designed to thrive. It's your natural state, your birthright, and you can reclaim it. Colostrum is the first nutrition we receive in life, with every essential nutrient our bodies need. It's nature's original blueprint for health. After a devastating health crisis almost took my life, I made it my mission to harness this power. Using proprietary technology, Armra captures over 400 bioactive nutrients in every scoop, delivering over 1,000 benefits that transform your health at its foundation. Whether for gut health, metabolism, skin, hair, immunity, mood, energy, fitness, or recovery, I invite you to join this collective revival of health and discover radical transformation for yourself. Visit armor.com, that's ARMRA.com, and enter code CULTURE30 for 30% off your first subscription order. This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
It's the big sale of the year at All Modern, a Wayfair specialty brand. October 26th through the 29th. Save up to 70% off modern furniture and decor, plus fast and free shipping. Shop the big sale of the year at allmodern.com.
You've worked hard since you arrived in the city, gained loads of experience, developed your skills. Everywhere you look, you see something you helped build. But now, you're looking to the future. And maybe you're thinking about where you come from. In Ireland, we need planners, carpenters, plumbers, roofers, engineers, architects, site managers, and more. We need you, with all your skills and knowledge, to help us build thousands of homes. You've built the world. Now come back and build the home that built you. For more information, visit gov.ie/Building Ireland. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
How can I help you today?
Hey, I need to talk about my loan.
No problem.
So I got the email. Sandy Spring Bank is becoming...
Atlantic Union Bank. That's right.
And will you still be...
Your banker? Of course.
More branches and ATMs?
Way more.
Still community driven?
Still live here, still give here.
Mobile app?
Easy. Everything right at your fingertips.
And what about my business?
Always here to help you reach your goals.
Sandy Spring Bank is becoming Atlantic Union Bank, October 2025. Same bankers you love with even more to offer.
It's the big sale of the year at All Modern, a Wayfair specialty brand. October 26th through the 29th. Save up to 70% off modern furniture and decor, plus fast and free shipping. Shop the big sale of the year at allmodern.com.